NHL, NBA playoffs, get ready. They are here today. Plenty of action, not to mention Major League Baseball action. And the great news is we have best bets and game breakdowns across the board for all of them here. And we've got quite the crew showing up on this edition of Last Call on WagerTalk TV. Appreciate you stopping by here. As first up, Carmine, Bianco. We've waited an entire season here, Carmine, to get to the postseason here. Certainly those that are Florida Panther fans that might have been, at a game or two last year, watching them melt away to Vegas, looking forward to this time. I don't know if you and I are on the same page with that series, but you do have a play for us coming up on the second game of today's doubleheader, which I believe involves the Bruins and those pesky Toronto Maple Leafs here. Carm, welcome in. And what are you rolling with in this game here? And should we let the Prez know?
Yeah, the Prez will actually like this play. He's been following along with these Matthews shot props, and he's been making money. Mm-hmm. Last three games of the season, he had 10, 5, and 12 shots. While they were trying to get him to 70 goals, he landed on, obviously, on 69, didn't get there. And now the focus obviously switches to the first round of the playoffs. This is a Bruins team that they've played three previous times in the last 11 years in the first round of the playoffs. They've been bounced by the Bruins in all three in 7 games, each one going 7 games with the 7th game at TD Garden. So if this one goes 7 games, of course, it'll be at TD Garden. And once again, I think it's a little different this year. Those were during the the Bergeron years. He's gone. I think Toronto's better down the middle as far as centers go on this team. Defense, obviously, the Bruins are much better. The goaltending, I think, is a lot closer than most people think, and coaching obviously belongs to the Bruins. But we're getting to shot props and not looking at the game. And the Matthews one, we talk about the Bruins being able to contain players. Matthews still, during the season, in 4 games, and the Bruins swept all 4 games, a couple of OT ones to start the first half of the season, and a pair of 4-1 games in a home-and-home that was played over 5 days to sweep that series. But Matthews got 5, 7, 5, and 3. His number right now sits at DK at 4.5 minus 135. And, the interesting thing is you have to price shop with these, even at DK. You'll look at the shots on goal for Matthews and you'll see 4.5 minus 145, but then just below it, it has an option where you can take a player alternate shots on goal, and for 5 or more, it's minus 135. You're going to need 5 regardless, so you can pay 10 cents less juice by taking that alternate prop on the Matthews shots on goal. I think I'm not a Leafs fan, but I have a feeling that Matthews goes off in this series, and he's the decider on whether the Leafs advance or not. So I'm going to go with the shot prop on Matthews over 4.5 minus 135.
Got to figure there are going to be a lot of people, right, all over him in this series here, Carm. Right? Might as well you might as well get him early, because once he does hit a prop or two, it's going to be basically unplayable moving forward, isn't it?
Yeah, the vig is going to go up, and I did that video. I did that video with Kelly talking about this series, and if you look at coaching, obviously Montgomery much better than Sheldon Keefe. Defense, Boston's much better. The goalies, I think, are closer than you believe, because Samsonov has been very good since coming back. He's 18-4-2 since coming back from a stint in the minors where he didn't actually play. He's with a goaltending coach, a 269 goals against average, which is very good on a Toronto team that does allow goals. And offense obviously belongs to Toronto. I think they're better offensively, but given that, and the fact that the Bruins beat them in all 4 games this year, have beat them in the last 3 playoff series, the price is minus 125 on the Bruins. Why aren't they higher? And you have to question, because books are very sharp come playoff time with their numbers. You have to question why the Bruins are only minus 125 here. This could be the year that the Leafs get over the hump. But as far as this play goes, the Leafs could lose tonight, and this play could cash. That's all that really matters, is the play cashes.
I know there was some conversation about some of these the goal props there. And by the way, those of you joining us live here today on last call. Welcome in. Of course, this whole show is about any questions, last minute thoughts you guys may have. You want to ask these guys, whether it be the NHL, the NBA, or Major League Baseball. We got Bryan Power coming up with some MLB thoughts here on a game or two. And, of course, Andy Lang, the prop god, he'll be around. He's got a same-game parlay for us coming up in the NBA. So you NHL guys and girls, if you got something to ask, drop them in the chat room, and we will get to them here with Carm, or drop them in the comments section, as we're going to be following this all day long, getting you as much information as we need to cash a few damn tickets here today. Carm, any of these goal props here? I know a couple people had mentioned that there was a lot of value on Marchand maybe in this one here, or I don't know, did he have the kind of year that you would think he'd show up in a big game like this at plus 200, plus 250, somewhere in that ballpark?
Yeah, well, the thing about Marchand is he's the kind of guy, like, if you think about players of yesteryear, let's call them, like Philadelphia Flyers, Kenny the Rat Linsman, the guy gets under your skin, and he gets in there when the ref's not looking. He gets a little bit of an elbow in on you. He literally tries to get players off of their game, and we saw that in series past when Kadri ended up cross-checking a guy in the head. They just take a team out of and get suspended. They take a team out of their flow. I think the focus here is going to be Keefe has to put the focus for the Leafs on these guys are going to try and get under your skin. Let's just play hockey. Let our skill come to the top, and we should be the better team. The one thing I'll give Sheldon Keefe a credit for, and then I'm going to go to the goal props, is that unlike last year, he took Marner off the line with Matthews. He's spreading the scoring throughout the lineup. So you can't just come out and stop the Matthews line and expect to win the game, because then you have obviously Tavares, you have Nylander, you have Marner on another line, and so forth. So, and you got Domi on that first line. Domi and I think Bertuzzi on that first line. And they picked up these guys specifically for the playoffs. So if Marchand gets in there, Domi's going to get in there, and you take both those guys off the ice, it's great for the Leafs. On a one-on-one trade of let's get Marchand off the ice and let's get Domi off the ice, the Leafs win that one if both guys end up in the penalty box. But you look at the prices, and you look at goal scorers. Probably the most popular one, if you're looking at it for the Bruins, has to be the Pasta Man, David Pastrnak, because
of course, if
the Leafs take a penalty, if they get unhinged, Marchand's not scoring, or he's not typically scoring on the power play. He's getting it to Pastrnak, who's on that face-off circle, kind of like where Ovi is in his office, and he's got that shot that he just finds any space that Samsonov or Wall or whoever's in goal is going to leave. So the Pasta one, and you're not laying a lot of juice. Look at Matthews. You're laying $1.50 on Matthews. I wouldn't play that. Even if I think he's going to score, you can't lay $1.50 on a proposition of a guy scoring. He had scored, I think, prior to the last two games, he had scored in, I think, 9 or 10 straight games when he went on that run. But I wouldn't take it. Marchand's at DK's plus 230. I probably wouldn't take it because I think he's more of a setup guy than a goal scoring guy in this one.
Yeah, well, it's Andrew. We got some questions rolling in, and just to reiterate for those that might be joining us here now and you missed earlier, throw up the best bet for Carmine if you could there, Dan, because there are some shot props on Matthews. Are they worth it? And I think maybe that'll help answer those that might be thinking about playing, because Carm was all over that opening up here with Austin Matthews shots on goal over 4.5 in this one here tonight. Now, that is the second of the doubleheader. I believe the early game, unfortunately, Islander fans are with bated breath here, Carmine, thinking that maybe, just maybe, if they keep the scoring low enough, they might have a shot in this series here. And I know we had some questions about the total 5.5 here. Big Daddy wants to know, are you leaning one way or the other? Maybe an over or under? If it's over, you better be betting Carolina, because how much How much faith do you have in the Islanders winning a shootout?
Yeah, and that's just it. But the Islanders did beat Carolina two of three games this year, which is a bit of a surprise. But I think a couple of them came early on when Carolina struggled at the beginning, of the season. Goaltending issues. Freddie Anderson was injured with blood clots, so we saw a different Carolina team. But they picked it up as the season rolled on. One of the better defensive teams. Very solid goaltending, a very good 1-1A goaltending. You have to believe it's going to be a lower scoring game. The game ones can be a little tricky because I think people always talk about the fact that game ones could be the feeling out process. I don't believe in the feeling out process. There's 82 games of film on these teams. You know what you're going to get. It's not like an 18 or 17 game schedule in the NFL where you're looking at a lot of film. They know what they're going to get from these teams. And the Canes over the last three or 4 years have been so tough to beat at home in the playoffs. I just don't see how the Islanders come in and win one of these two. Although I will say last year, game one of round one, 6 of 8 road teams won game one. Only one of them went on to win the series, and that was the Seattle Kraken against the against the Colorado Avalanche. But all 4 road West teams won game one last year, 2 of 4 in the East, one in game one, and the unders went 5-3-1 or 5-2-1 in the in game ones last year, the unders. So we're going to see 5.5s across the board. You're probably going to see some 5s in the Vegas Dallas series, I believe. If we see some very low scoring games there, it's going to go to 5, and the over 5 will be juiced to like 125, 130. But we're going to see some 5s in these playoffs as well too. But I'm leaning under here.
I'm with you. Anything with the Islanders, I think we'd look under. Although I know Leaf fans are not counting on Frederick hanging out and doing great things for Carolina here. We do have a question in Instagram, and it's an interesting one at Making It Snow. That's a fantastic name. These names on Instagram are really outstanding. People really put in a lot of thought to these handles here on IG. What do you think about parlaying Capitals under 3 and Islanders under 3 team totals in those spots there, Carm? How much faith do we have Islanders getting at least 3 or Washington getting 3 in their opening round there?
Those are likely juiced. I get it. Under 3s for both teams totals, but but the good thing about it is I can't see both teams scoring either one of those ones scoring 4. They're playing against 2 very good defensive teams. The Rangers, from start to finish this season, were one of the best teams, if not the best team, and they won the President's Trophy. And I know that there's the President's Trophy jinx that is out there. No team since the 2012, 2013 Chicago Blackhawks have won the President's Trophy and then gone on to win the Stanley Cup. We saw last year the Boston Bruins have a phenomenal season. They lose in the first round. The Florida Panthers, the year previous, win the President's Trophy. They barely get by Washington in the first round, and then get bounced by the Tampa Bay Lightning, as you know, Joe. So there's a bit of a cloud that flies over winning the President's Trophy, but they're a very good team, solid defensively, very good centers on that team. Zibanejad, Trocheck, Weinberg, another one that slips my mind, but very good down the middle, and you got Shesterkin in goal. So is he allowing 4 goals in game one at home? I don't think so. So that's a good one. I'm not sure what the price is going to come out to, because those are likely juiced in the minus 400 range.
Minus 150,
I think.
Yeah, I think he said minus 150
together,
if we put them both together there.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It's not bad. I would take it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Go with it. That's what we're talking about.
Go with it.
Go with it. Absolutely. Make it snow. Making it snow. Love it. Damn it. Make it rain. Make it rain. Make it snow. Whatever you want to do. Some sort of precipitation. All right, guys. Don't forget here. Make sure if you can hit that like button, that thumbs up button would be Much appreciated here as we still have Andy Lang, the prop god, coming up here with some NBA props you're going to want to hear about. And the one and only Bryan Power will be here. Not sure why, but he'll be here anyway. I'm only kidding. He'll be here talking some Major League Baseball, mostly because I lost a bet and had to bring him on. So we also have more questions coming in, Carm. But before we get to them, you do have a second bet for the show here that you wanted to dole out. And this one involves, my Panthers and Tampa. So what are you doing? What is the play for the show in this game coming up tomorrow?
So this is one over the last few years that we've taken advantage of. And the host, Joe, he won't admit it, but he literally built a pool with the profits he made on betting the Tampa Bay Lightning playoff points. This is or power play points. This is the one. You got the number one team. They're 28.6% efficiency on the power play, number one this season. And the power play points. Now, listen, I get it. You need power plays in order to cash these tickets. But you look at a player like Steven Stamkos on the number one line, Braden Point on the number one line for the power play. And for them to register at least 1 point on the power play, you're getting plus 230 on Stamkos. You're getting plus 210 on Braden Point. And you could cash those on one power play if the right assist comes from the right player. Now you look at Florida, and listen, Florida's a great defensive team throughout the season, but they had the second highest penalty minutes this past season, 1,106 penalty minutes. Only Anaheim, 1,108, 2 minutes more, had more penalty minutes. That's an average of 13.49 penalty minutes per game for Florida. And they did have the seventh best penalty kill at 82.5%. But if you get in the box against this Tampa team, and we normally will see it in game one. Game one's a little more enforce your will on the other team. You see some penalties. You give Tampa 2 or 3 power plays in this game, they're going to score at least a goal. This game goes tomorrow. And Stamkos and Braden Point, you only have to hit one to make to at least break even, but you can hit both on the same power play. And I like those ones. And Joe can add another wing to his house. I think he's living near Lionel Messi, who's now plays for Inter Miami down in Florida. But you can invite him over to the pool, and you can stay in the guest room.
Only, Carm, because I listened to you and followed your advice there, which is why we were able to buy 4 lots in the back of the house. Very nice there, Carmine. All right, Carmine, let's see. We've got some. I love the Ryan Garcia question, too, by the way. If those of you that are boxing fans, make sure you check out the Kevin Dolan breakdown on that big fight tonight. Hopefully he'll stay off of X long enough to actually make it to the fight and fight Haney. Should be a fun one, but a great breakdown and a best bet can be found on our page at WagerTalk there on our YouTube page. So we certainly appreciate those of you looking for a little boxing action, those that are looking for NBA as well as Major League Baseball. We've got that coming up for you here with Andy Lang and Bryan Power. All right, Carm, you skirted around the power play points, but you didn't give me a damn answer on who you're taking for the Tampa Bay Lightning Florida Panther series here. So this will determine whether or not the mute button somehow gets stuck on your ass, depending on what comes out of your mouth here. So tell us, Carm, which way you looking here in this one tonight?
Oh, God. Let me get this in real quick before I get muted. No. So listen, honestly, I think Tampa said Florida's not going to surprise anyone this year after what they did last year. Still a solid team. Their talent throughout their lineup is very good, but this Tampa team seems to have their number for some reason. And, I don't think home ice is as big in this series as it is in any other series because with the traveling fans, you can always get tickets in Florida if you're a Tampa Bay guy. And it's likely a lot cheaper, probably half the price than it is to go and watch a Tampa game. And you know that, Joe, having gone to a game with your better half and Kelly and Brett. that Tampa games are very expensive. But with that said, Tampa's a great price at plus 150, 160, 170 to win the series. But this could very well go 7 games, and you can split a couple units and put it on Tampa Bay at the plus 160 or 70 that you can get them at. And then take Tampa plus a game and a half minus 145. And if it goes 7 games, you're at the very least, you're breaking even and you're free rolling on winning 2 units.
Love. Actually, I like that advice because I do think there is some value on there. But it's been a civil war for a long time here, Carm, and they finally got on track, the Panthers, last year. Can they do it again this year? I mean, we all stuck a fork early on in Tampa, but they're like a bad rash, Carm, no matter what ointment you use. And Bryan Power knows all about it. You just can't get rid of it, man. No, you know what I mean? It's just they won't go away. It's absolutely brutal. Carmine, Bianco, tell the fine folks before we bring in that rash, Bryan Power here to talk some MLB and NBA. Tell the folks what you got locked, loaded, ready to roll here this weekend at WagerTalk.
Yeah, a couple different packages up today, a 3-pack in soccer. I'm going to add a couple more plays that go on Sunday to that one, as I want to have a Sunday card. So you're going to get 5 soccer plays in that one. First game goes off, I believe, at 12:30 or 2:30. So I'll take advantage of that. And then an NHL card for today, 3 plays up. And then I'll have, I have the bunch of series price ones up as well, too. There's a BOGO going on over on mine and Andrew's page. You can get all of our plays together in one package. For all the Stanley Cup, right through the Stanley Cup Finals, or you can pick up. There's some great deals on my page as well too. A 3-day all access is going to get you everything through the weekend, and some of those series prices, of course, as well too. So take advantage of those. 2024, we had a rough start to 2023 as far as NHL goes, but 2024 we've picked it up. Sides and totals plus 46.54 units. And we're going to try and roll right through the playoffs, making even more money for our clients.
Love that, Carm. And by the way, just to let you guys know, if you haven't seen it, the link will be in the description for those of you watching this on replay. Carmine, Andrew, and Kelly did a fantastic preview of all the series that they are interested in. It is on our WagerTalk page, guys. Go check that out on YouTube there. Of course, you'll have links on X, as well as Facebook, as well as Instagram. Check that video out. They do a great job of running through, I believe, 5 or 6 of their best bets from a series standpoint coming up. So definitely worth taking a look at. Carmine, we appreciate it here, my man. And we've got starting to itch in here. That must mean that Bryan Power is coming up here. And oh, look at that. There he is, the rash himself. Always a pleasure seeing you, BP. That is a total lie. But honestly, good to see you here, my man. It is a loaded weekend across the board. I'm looking forward to the NBA playoffs there. And I will start there because I know you got you and I are on the same page on a baseball game coming up a little bit later here today for a best bet for you. But in the meantime, a lot of folks in the chat room looking forward to this game a little bit later between the Knicks and the Sixers, a Knicks squad in which we saw a ton of steam come in midweek there, right after, of course, they barely escaped Miami in the play-in game. So a lot of Knicks love coming in the marketplace. Are you believing game 1 falls to the home team in this one?
Yes, I actually am, Joe, and I'll talk about why right now. But of course, first of all, always a pleasure to be with you on the show, Joe. But look, the Celtics, obviously the best team in the East. I believe everyone in the free world understands that. But I actually think these are the number 2 and number 3 teams in the East. So it's not a great first-round draw for the Knicks, admittedly. The second seed having what I think a lot of people feel is the third best team in the East as its first-round opponent. Knicks haven't made a conference finals since 2000, Joe. It's been a long time since we've seen a deep run. 2000, that was when Larry Johnson was throwing up this, wasn't he, after every made 3? That was a simpler time. But the Sixers, they're now fully healthy, okay? 31-8 with Embiid in the lineup. The Knicks, they may not have Julius Randle, but they do have Jalen Brunson, who you look at Brunson, it's interesting. He's kind of eschewed modern basketball theory, Joe, because he's extremely productive from the mid-range, right? Basketball now, they tell you, get your scoring at the rim or from behind the three-point arc. He's really good in the mid-range, which is key against Philadelphia, how they play defense. OG Anunoby, 20-3 the Knicks are with him in the lineup, and the Knicks are very good defensively. That's something Philly knows all too well. 4 regular season meetings between these two teams, the Sixers never cleared 96 points. Each of the last 2, they were held to just 79. Now, Embiid missed 3 of those. I understand that. But the one time he played, the Sixers lost by 36 at home, and he scored 30. So, granted, that was a while ago, but I think it's fair to speculate, okay, just how healthy Embiid is coming into this series. And as you know, Joe, on Tuesday against the Heat, at home, the Sixers were down double digits. And that was with Jimmy Butler obviously getting hurt very early in that game. So, long and short of it is, I think this number's too short. I would lay it with the Knicks tonight.
Yeah, I am not one. I'm kind of with Ray here. I know I saw a comment come in the chat room, and I am 100% on board with him about I don't think Embiid is healthy. Not like a lot of guys are after a long-ass season. I get that. But, for a dude that missed 3 months, 3.5 months, and it may just be rust, but I don't think it is. I think he's a little bit tentative. And I'm just not sure that we can trust Embiid to overtake a game because they've got Mitchell and Hartenstein there who are going to be responsible for limiting him what he can do. And, what else are they going to throw out there? So I'm a little worried about him, but it should be a fantastic series. Are you expecting 6 or 7 games here, by the way? I think home court matters, and I think the Knicks having home court is really going to matter in this series.
Yeah, in terms of a betting strategy for the series, Joe, this is one where I think the zigzag theory is what to do. I'm going to be looking probably. I mean, whoever loses the previous game, I'm going to be probably looking to come back with them. I'm not definitely going to take them. I won't blindly be doing the zigzag theory, but certainly I do expect this to be a competitive series overall. It was priced that way. And yeah, I mean, I think just big picture, this is a series where the zigzag theory may very well apply. Very low scoring these teams were in the again. I know Embiid didn't play, and we've got a low total here that's taking some over money. But so I don't have a good feeling on the total necessarily for this game, but it is the Knicks in game 1, and if they look as good as I think they might, then I might come back with the Sixers in game 2.
I think we are actually seeing some line move 3.5s and even 4s are pop up now in the marketplace. So just be aware. It looks like the Knicks money is rolling in. So if you haven't moved on it, you may want to move on it here, or just wait for a good in-game opportunity because you mentioned it, BP, and that's a pretty good strategy too. If you miss the best of the number, it's the ebbs and flows of a NBA game will give you an opportunity to be able to jump on in there. So didn't work for the Bulls backers last night because you can't win without Jimmy. But apparently that didn't work out all that well. But something tells me in a lower scoring game, lower scoring series, you're going to have opportunities to jump in during the game to be able to get a better number, especially early on.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Pelicans last night, right? They fell behind early, and then they were up by 20 in the fourth quarter. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
And I mean, the NBA, the runs are just incredible. There was, 2 Sundays ago, Joe? I swear, there were 3 teams that were up 20 and wound up losing outright. So, absolutely. In-game, in the playoffs, regular season, whatever, is a great, great strategy in the modern NBA.
Love that. Our prop god, Andy Lang, coming up. He's got a same-game parlay coming up in another series that is going to be very interesting, that has taken a lot of money with the Pacers and the Bucks. And if you guys have any questions in the NBA realm, go ahead, drop them in the chat room. We'll fire a bunch over at BP. But don't forget, full slate of Major League Baseball here today as well. And we've got plenty of games on tap. And I know we had a question in our YouTube Shorts feed there regarding The Orioles and the Royals here today. Boy, this Royals team, whoo, they got some offense, they got some pitching, they play a little defense, they got a budding superstar. Sounds a lot like the Orioles here. So what are we going to get here today, BP, with these two teams?
You know, Joe, whenever I come on these shows, there's certain set of expectations.
I cringe, yes.
Yeah,
well, yeah, that's not where you were going. Okay. No, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, to that point, one, you're probably going to make fun of me for something I didn't even do. Yeah. And two,
that's correct.
I will probably give out some contrarian type play. All right, we've already hit our quota on number one, sadly, so let me give you the contrarian play here, and we're going to fade Corbin Burns. Why would we fade Corbin Burns, who has a 2.28 ERA and .93 WHIP in 4 starts, all of which have are Baltimore wins, by the way? Well, the Royals have Cole Reagans on the mound, and he may not have as good a record as Burns, but he does have a lower ERA. And earlier this month in Camden Yards, he held this Orioles lineup to just 1 hit over 6 1/3 scoreless innings. That ended up being a very, very unlucky loss for Kansas City. For those who may have forgotten, it was the final game of the series. There was a 5+ hour rain delay. Reagans, he does his job. Royals out hit the O's for the game, and then it all went to hell in the final 2 innings. Baltimore scored 4 times, and there you have it. I don't see that happening here. The Royals take last night's series opener in convincing fashion, 9-4. They're tied with the Guardians for the best run differential in all of baseball right now, at +45. Bet you didn't have that on your 2024 MLB bingo card, Joe. The Royals and Guardians, the co-leaders in run differential here in mid-April. But yesterday, before the game, before the series opener between these teams, I told our good friend Mark Zino, I said, odds makers are really pricing this as a prove-it series for the Royals. They're obviously still a little skeptical. Underdogs at home 2 straight days, but you mentioned how good this Royals team has looked, Joe, and with Reagans, how good he's been. I know Baltimore's good, and they've got Burns going, but when he started opposite Reagans earlier in the year, it was the most hits Burns allowed in any start, 9. It was his fewest strikeouts as well, 3. I just think this, for me, is a price play. The Royals won last night, as I said. You give me Kansas City at home with their best pitcher and that plus price, I'm taking them, even though I do respect Baltimore quite a bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, the pitching certainly there. I know there were some questions in the chat regarding maybe looking at an over, that maybe it has gone completely over the top here. We're expecting no runs to go, but both of these teams have certainly shown an ability to be able to put the barrel on the ball, which is important, and get it done. But anytime you see, I think, Reagans and Burns, the first inclination is always going to be an under there, BP. But check the weather out there at Kauffman Stadium too. It sometimes during these games they tend to. Ball gets up in the air and tends to continue to travel. So don't hate the look towards the over either there. Great job, Have. Welcome in. I can't even pronounce that name. But again, questions MLB or NBA related, drop them in the chat here, guys. And don't forget to hit that thumbs up and become part of the WagerTalk TV family. Dino, check it out. Welcome in, Christofferson. Always a pleasure to see you guys here. I know FB coach in the house as well, Big Daddy. How about we'll take one look here quick back at the NBA in a series involving the Cavaliers taking on Orlando. And I will say this. I think it's blow-up time for the Cavs. I am projecting that Orlando wins this series and Donovan Mitchell will not be a Cav next year. I don't think he's 100%. No, or the whole team really isn't 100%. They haven't been down after the All-Star break. He's been hurt. Everybody's been hurt there, BP. I mean, Mobley, Allen, Garland, go down the list here. I think it's an interesting matchup, but I think the youth and how healthy finally Orlando is, I think Cleveland's got a new coach. I think Donovan Mitchell's out. I think it's a rebuild next year for the Cavs. And I don't think it's going to take a whole lot for Orlando to win this one. What do you think of this series?
Well, I think the best bet for this series is as soon as the Cavs fall down, I will be getting 100% a text from my dad saying "fire Bickerstaff,"
Yes.
which is a tradition like none other when watching the Cavs. He's right with you, Joe, and there's a lot of people here in Cleveland that want to see Bickerstaff gone. A lot of people want to see Mitchell gone as well. So I broke this series down on the latest edition of Power 5. People could check that out on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. We took a look at 5 of the first round series. I just gave you a sixth one with a look at the Knicks and Sixers just a few minutes ago. So we've got you covered on almost everything here. My concern with the Orlando is the scoring. I don't. This is a young team. Are they going to be able to consistently score in a playoff environment? The Cavs' downturn down the stretch was very injury related. I don't disagree with you, Joe, that I don't love the Cavs coming to playoffs. This is an interesting series because these were two teams I kind of wanted to play against in the first round, but here they are matched up against each other. And then, in the other series we talked about, Knicks Sixers, those are two teams that I think a lot of people wanted to play on. I would be looking at unders almost every game in this series, Joe. I just don't think there's going to be a lot of scoring when these teams are involved. It's interesting how much money we've seen come in on the Cavs. You look at the WagerTalk.com odds screen. I saw that that number's going up this morning. I don't have a strong feel on game one, but as far as the series goes, I'm looking at the under almost each and every game because I don't think there's going to be a lot of scoring from either side.
We also have asking, Boncaro does have a tough time with length, but and you listen, you're a Cleveland guy there, BP. You've seen this team. All the quotes that I'm seeing out of Orlando tell me this team is, they have shown it, they've proved it, they've been very good at home. And again, I think home court matters in the playoffs here, especially with that comfort level that everyone's had. So the Cavs do have the edge at home, but is that a big home court advantage this year? Have they been night and day road versus home here, or do you think they're capable of maybe losing a game or two at home here?
Oh, they're certainly capable of losing a game or two. Remember what happened to them last year in the playoffs? They got swept by the Knicks. Now, this is not as strong a team. The Orlando team that they're facing here is not as strong as that Knicks team that they had to face last year. You look at the Cavs' home and road splits this season. They were 26-15 at home, which is pretty good. The interesting thing with the Cavs, and this was true last year as well, what they're really good at doing in the regular season is beating up on the crummy teams. They have had a great record against teams below 500 the last 2 seasons. But you get to the playoffs, you don't play those teams anymore, Joe. Charlotte's home for the year. Washington's home for the year. Detroit's home for the year. The Cavs against teams that were 500 or better were 21-27, 6 games under. Now, Orlando was actually worse against teams that were better than 500. They were 9 games under. I think that's the worst mark of any team still left in the East. As a matter of fact, yes, it is. So, again, I think the Cavs may have gotten a little lucky with who they were matched up with in the first round. I would have certainly been looking to fade them had they drawn Philadelphia in this first round or Indiana. Orlando, I'm not racing to bet Orlando, but in a game, I'll say this. In games that we expect to be low scoring, taking the points is not a bad idea, especially because this number now to me looks inflated. I thought I would make the Cavs a 3.5-point favorite here today, and we've already surpassed that. So I think the value is on Orlando if you're looking to play the side. I didn't personally play it, but again, I don't think Cleveland's going to score a ton, so I wouldn't want to lay it with them in this environment.
We got a bunch of questions coming in. We got a bunch of baseball questions that we'll run through quick, too. But I will say this. I know there were some folks looking at Donovan Mitchell, 25 or more points here today. It's a great question for Andy Lang. We'll ask him his thoughts on some of these point props coming in on the NBA. But if you have watched him in the month of March since the All-Star break, he's not 100%. He has not been the scoring prowess that he has been, prior to the injuries here. So tough to go up against Orlando and think he is just going to dominate and get 25 or more points, but we'll see what Andy thinks about that one. We got a lot of question about the Cubs doubleheader coming in. I know Instagram and it's Mac Laney is also asking about do we look at the Cubs in both? Well, they're playing the Marlins, so of course you want to look at the Cubs first. I don't like playing usually game ones of doubleheaders. I just avoid them. There's so much variance on who plays one versus who plays game two. The pitching matchup clearly favors the Marlins in the Cubs in game two, but all of the money is coming in on the Marlins on the first game, BP. It looks like is a Luzardo, I think, is going in game one here. And I saw this overnight at 160, 165. And now this is nearly 25, 30 cents the other way there. So apparently the market doesn't believe that the Cubs should be that big a favorite in game one. What are you thinking?
It's curious that Luzardo would be getting this kind of money because what has he done in his first four starts? The Marlins have lost all of them. He has a 7.65 ERA, a 1.55 WHIP. So I am not running to the window to bet Miami. Congratulations to you, Joe. I know you're feeling pretty good about your Marlins under-season win total. This team looks very, very bad. We all know how lucky they were last year, the incredible positive variance they had in one-run games. They had just a horrible run differential for a team that finished over 500. Now, the regression monsters come back to bite them. They're 4-16 on the year. I can't get behind Miami here. They have to show me something. Luzardo, coming into the year, I thought maybe he'd be okay, but the numbers are the numbers. I don't think you can play. I don't think you can play Luzardo. I don't think you could play the Marlins. It would be Cubs or pass. But, at this price, I'm not really looking to play the Cubs either, I guess.
No, a lot of questions about the Dodgers as well coming in and whether or not we should just fade them until further notice. Listen, the Mets have always been a giant pain in the ass at Ches Ravine to the Dodgers. They've been doing that for a while here now. Yamamoto continues to not miss barrels, which is a giant problem for the Dodgers here. But they're also the second half of that. Once you get past the fifth hitter, who the hell scares you on the Dodgers lineup? They're so top heavy in there. It's kind of crazy. And they're looking for any arms at any time here, BP, to throw out there and try and hope that reinforcements will come back here. But we're looking at Stone, so kind of a bullpen game here. And Budo going for the Mets here. That's a 4:05 start, I believe. What are you thinking about the Dodgers here today? You think they bounce back after the 9-4 loss last night?
I really don't want to get in front of the Mets right now. You mentioned Budo. His two starts, he's been great. 0.75 ERA, 0.75 WHIP. The Mets have won 5 straight. They're putting up some runs the last 2 games, 9 runs each of the last 2 games. Meanwhile, you talk about this Dodgers team. I wouldn't blindly fade a team as talented as the Dodgers, but they've lost 4 of 5. They've lost, 6 of 8 as well, I believe, and they're not scoring very much. And look at who they're playing. They lost 2 of 3 to Washington. And so, again, it's all about price. Absolutely, I would not play the Dodgers at this price. The Mets are probably worth a sprinkle on the money line just because, the way they're playing. And, they might have the edge in starting. Maybe you look at the Mets' first 5 is a way to play this. Because if if they were to steal the game, it's probably going to be via a strong start to the game. So I don't hate that look. Mets' first 5 might be the best option on the board for that one.
Yeah, not a bad look there. And BP, as you guys, we got some Denver questions. Guys, hold on, because the Nuggets game, Andy Lang has got some thoughts on this one coming up against the Lakers, not to mention a few other in the NBA. It is getting ready for prop time here with Andy Lang. Well, he's coming up in just a minute. Before we get you out of here, though, BP, locked and loaded. What do you got for us over at WagerTalk.com?
Yeah, it was a good Friday, Joe. 2-0 in the NBA. We swept the play-in games last night. Took both teams where the star player was injured, and they both won going away. That was the Heat and Pelicans, of course. We got a 4% best bet in the playoffs this afternoon that people are going to want to check out. It was a game that I did not touch on today. So be sure to head to wt.buzz/BP. We've seen it really well long-term in the NBA, up 47 units going back to last year's finals. And I think it's now 73% for the month with all NBA selections. So I've got the 4% best bet for this afternoon. We'll probably be adding some MLB here in a bit as well. So wt.buzz/BP is the place to go.
Outstanding, BP. Appreciate it, my man. Always a pleasure. Make sure you head over to WagerTalk.com and check him out. All right, prop bettors. Are you guys ready? Drop those questions in coming up here as we've got plenty going on today, and nobody is more ready for the prop betting market here than Andy Lang in the house, ready to roll here, Andy. And let's see, we got a whole lot of games coming up here in the NBA. We got NHL, we've got Major League Baseball, you've got darts and golf. You've got a little something for everyone here, my man, and you continue to cash those tickets. So let's start with the first prop here that you have for the show as a bet for us here. Which game are you going to go to here in the prop betting side that you like?
We can go to the Suns and the Timberwolves, and just to clarify, in the playoffs, what we're looking for is not a play that we're just going to play once. We want to try and play it throughout the series. So when I take these plays, just know, if it hits, great, we're going to play it again. If it loses, we're going to keep coming back to it and play it again. And the point is to try and be up units at the end of the series. If we're up throughout the middle of the series, we'll probably lay off there if we get off to a good start. So we'll start with Grayson Allen, and we'll take his over 2.5 made 3-pointers. It's just a great matchup for him against Minnesota. He's gone over this in every game this season against Minnesota. And what I like is he's gone over this in the last 17 games. He's gone over 11 times with Beal, Booker, and Durant playing. And in 2 games against Minnesota, where he played with all 3 of those guys, Beal, Booker, and Durant, he went over in both those games. He had 3 and he had 4. Minnesota tries keying in on Durant, tries keying in on Booker and Beal, and it just leaves him open shots. And what a resurgence from Grayson Allen. What an incredible year. There's no reward like most improved. No, he doesn't fit that category. Comeback, no, but just an incredible resurgence from Grayson Allen, probably his best year in the pros. He's going to be a key weapon for Phoenix. This should be a really close series. They're going to need him. I do not foresee blowouts in this series, maybe 1 or 2 here or there, but I would expect full minutes from him. I would expect wide open shots as Timberwolves focus on the big 3. So take Grayson Allen over 2.5 made 3-pointers.
Love it. Grayson Allen over 2.5 threes here. I feel bad for Minnesota because this is a terrible matchup. They are elite at defending the paint and the rim. Elite. And they're going up against a team that could care less about your rim or your paint. They're going to be bombing it from all over the place with a 3-headed monster. It's just terrible matchup for the Minnesota Timberwolves looking forward here. I know you also have, as a matter of fact, I'm being asked on Instagram, any darts on the docket here today? Any darts plays coming up today or tomorrow?
No, so every Thursday is the big, it's the Premier League over in Europe. And we actually hit a 5% play on Thursday. It's been really good.
Woo!
Thursday is darts day. They've still got a few more weeks of the regular season. Listen, Joe, we always tell people, it doesn't matter what sport. It all cashes. We have a 5% future. That line is now minus 10,000. So let's say let's just say we beat the line on that one. So on Thursdays is when we have darts plays. Really, really great source of profits this year. So no darts at this time of year on any other day except Thursday. But Thursday, locked and loaded with darts.
Locked, loaded for darts there, making it snow. Outstanding stuff as always there. And you're right, Andy. It's not like they pay you in a different currency because you play darts. It's still green. We're still good to go here. You can still cash the tickets. And you're only a degenerate if you bet everything you have on the darts play. So just take a look at it because nobody knows that sport better than Andy Lang does. I can promise you that here. Andy, also, we're getting a lot of questions about Denver and the Lakers. So before we get to them, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about, because you have a play in this series here that you're going to give out. And then, of course, we do have a couple of other things we wanted to go over with you. But when it comes to the Lakers and Denver, everyone's favorite champs there, what do you think we're going to get here in this series?
I think it's a Nuggets domination. I'm really surprised that you can get the Nuggets minus 1.5 games at less than minus 150. I would take that. The Nuggets, this is a series the Nuggets can't screw around in. I mean, you always want to dominate wins, but this is, you talked about bad matchups. Not saying Lakers are a bad matchup against Nuggets, but Anthony Davis can go toe to toe with Jokic. Not too many people can. I know that the Lakers got swept by the Nuggets, but those games were very, very close. This is a series where the Nuggets need to put their foot down because they've got a really, really tough opponent. Regardless of who comes out of the next series, they've got a really tough opponent in the next one. The worst thing that can happen is if they get into a rock fight with the Lakers and then they're worn down a little bit. So I do not expect them to screw around at all. And let's be honest, the Lakers, do they win that game if Zion doesn't get hurt? Up in the air. Pretty close. I don't know. So, LeBron, my gosh, you're 21, which is hard to say, but how much does he have left in the tank? And they do have Aaron Gordon, who, last year in the playoffs, Aaron Gordon made LeBron work extremely hard. One more year older for LeBron. And on the perimeter, it's no contest. Denver, huge advantage with defense. Like, you got Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell trying to guard Jamal Murray. Not happening. So, I don't expect the Nuggets to waste any time here. I would take a minus 1.5. Lakers win one game, maybe two, but this should be a Nuggets pretty easy advance into the next round.
It's interesting, Andy. We've got, and I mean, listen, it's priced accordingly, right? Minus 140 because they haven't beat him since Reagan was president. So that's a bit of a problem, I think, there. The Lakers have had a hard time getting past this Nuggets squad here. There's a lot of questions regarding the Joker. You had made the comment that, listen, AD can hold his own against the Joker. But there are a bunch of folks looking to back triple doubles here. 20-10-10, I know somebody said in the chat room they think that there's a great opportunity for him to dominate. Listen, far be it from us to say he can't get a triple double, but is that something you're looking at going up against AD?
No, I don't mess around with taking overs on these numbers. I mean, it's 50.5 for his points, rebounds, and assists. You have to have a lot go right to get to 51 PRA. Can he do it? Absolutely, he can do it. He's done it, 3 out of the last 4 games. But these big numbers, a little bit of foul trouble, off shooting night. I don't know. I just won't be messing around with these big numbers. The only thing that I will say is the number's too big on Embiid. Under on his points, rebounds, and assists. He looked really, really hobbling. So when you're looking at these big guys, and the Knicks are going to throw so many bodies at him, they're going to be so physical. They're just going to beat him up. That's coming. And I know Jokic is healthy, but when these numbers, he's going to be right around that 50.5. I just do not. I don't see any value in taking overs on those big numbers. It's under or nothing on the big numbers.
Jabaka had a question for you, Andy, earlier regarding the Sixers and the Knicks and Embiid's health. And given the health and the question marks around Embiid, would there be anybody else on the Sixers that you would look at in the prop market here?
No, I would just take Embiid under. Take it every game. My guess is it's going to hit more often than not. You don't want to be trying to guess which Philadelphia 76er is going to be, great. I'm a little dubious of Maxey in this series. I don't know. I don't like the 76ers at all with Embiid hobbling around. I just thought he looked terrible the other night. So they're going to try and depend on him, and I just don't see a whole lot of production from them. I think the Knicks advance in this series, but I'm not going to try and guess on the other 76ers.
Yeah, no. Actually, I think it would have been a better matchup against the Celtics. The Heat sans Jimmy Butler, I think. I would have loved to have seen the Knicks and the Heat. But unfortunately, they couldn't get it done the other night, but they got it done last night. So that's what we're going to have to look forward to. There was also some questions about Donovan Mitchell here. The Cavs in Orlando coming up. Seems to be a split in the chat and the comments here. But I don't think Donovan Mitchell, I think he's a shell of what he was prior to the All-Star break. He came out, the injuries, the time missed. He has not been an offensive juggernaut here. 25 and a half, I believe, or more points is his point prop. He's another guy, much like Embiid. If I get a question mark on health, Andy, I'm just betting the unders on him. Am I not?
Yeah, I'm not taking overs on Donovan Mitchell. I mean, add to that attitude. Is he going to be there? Like, what jersey is he going to be wearing next year? Not going to be Cleveland. I mean, Joe, he might be down. He might be down there in your neck of the woods. We might be. Cleveland might be trotting out like Tyler Hero next year with Evan Mobley while Donovan Mitchell's down there. No, Mitchell is an under or nothing as well. Orlando's really good on defense. That backcourt. Possibly the best backcourt defense with Jonathan Isaac and Suggs. I'm certainly not taking overs on the Cleveland backcourt. So I think too many times we get enamored with the big name guys and wanting to take overs and hoping to hit when they have a really big game. But I will tell you, the books already know this. It is baked into the line, so it's very hard to find value in some of the bigger name guys overs. When you're looking to cash on props, I like to look a little bit more of the, I don't want to say obscure markets, but just the markets that the general public is not that interested in. That's where the value is.
Yeah, I would imagine too. I know there were some questions about Jalen Brunson. He has had at least, Andy, if I remember correctly, 30 or more in 7 straight now, right to end the season. The guy was absolutely phenomenal. Now, the playoffs are a different animal, but his number, I think, was 30 and a half points. And he would be the first guy I would think the public would run to the window with and be like, oh, give me Brunson. He's hit 7 straight. It's going to be there. Well, while he is instrumental, there are other guys on the Knicks that have to show up. And I'm not sure that Nick Nurse, you know what I mean, leaves it all on the court to try to stop Brunson. Or maybe he does and forces somebody else. So I'd be hesitant with a guy like Brunson, too, which everybody is going to run to the window and bet, no?
Yeah, it's just the big name. You're trying to find the diamonds in the rough, the hidden gems. Like, for example, Orlando, Cleveland. We talked about Donovan Mitchell. I bet nobody noticed that Joe Ingles has gone over his rebounds and assists in 8 out of 10 games. The number's Boom. 3.5 rebounds and assists. He's averaging 5.3 per game in April, and he's gone over in 2 out of 3 games against Cleveland. His minutes are consistent, and it's such a low number. All he has to do is hit a couple open shooters, grab a couple rebounds, and he cashes. That's where value is in the playoffs. And you play him game after game after game. Let everyone else play Joker over and Embiid over and Brunson over. We're looking for the ones that the line is not completely dialed in on. That's where we make our money. It's not in the big name guys.
Yeah, and on that point, Andy, I would throw out Kyle Lowry, a forgotten guy. Some people don't even realize he's on the Sixers, but I promise you in the playoffs, he's there for a reason. 2.5 assists, I think, is what his number is. He's averaging almost 29 minutes a game. So he is going to have an opportunity off that. They're going to need him. That's the reason they went out and got him and signed him, is because they need that presence. He's not a point guy. He's all about the assists and being that floor general. So he's a guy most people don't even recognize.
In hired noon.
Much like Chris Paul. Chris Paul.
1.5 times he accidentally trips Brunson, runs into him, falls down, him up, down.
Yes. Chris Paul is the same way. 2 guys that are, as soon as the game is over, they get their AARP card signed and they are off and running. But they're guys that they're forgotten ones in that second round there, that second bench. So keep an eye on those guys here, guys, as we've got game 1s coming up. And I know you have a same game parlay in one of the games tomorrow night, I believe, involving, talk about another guy, Giannis, who is already ruled out game 1. And Andy, I would be worried that he'd be ruled out for more than just game 1. When you say he's definitely not playing, which is what they're saying, yikes. What are you looking at in this game 1 here for a same game parlay?
This is like the nightmare scenario for the Bucks. Like, you could not think of a worse nightmare scenario. So Giannis has this calf injury. This is the same calf injury that Durant tried to come back from and tore his Achilles. So you absolutely cannot put him out there if he's hobbled a little bit. And the other nightmare scenario is now it's Dame time, Joe. What if Damian Lillard just can't get the job done? And all of a sudden they're down 0-2, and now you're sitting there looking at that ridiculous trade for Damian Lillard. Giannis is hurt. What if they're down 0-2? Do you even bring Giannis back? Like for what? For what? This is a Pacers team that has gone 4-1 against Milwaukee. So yeah, let's do a same game parlay for the Pacers and the Bucks. This is on DraftKings, and we'll start with the Pacers over 110.5 on their team total. Joe, the Pacers averaged 128.8 points per game against Milwaukee. Halliburton absolutely cooks Damian Lillard, and now they have no Giannis on the inside. And with all due respect to Brook Lopez might be a liability in this series. I'm going to take Damian Lillard to make 3 or more 3-pointers. He's had 3 or more in 6 out of 8 games this year without Giannis in the lineup, and you better believe he's going to be firing that ball a million times from the outside. And then we'll take Halliburton over 8.5 assists. Halliburton averaged 10.4 assists per game against Milwaukee this season. He's finally got that hamstring injury in the rearview mirror, it looks like. So we're going to take the Pacers over 110.5. We'll take Lillard 3+ made threes. We'll take Halliburton over 8.5 assists. Joe, that gets us to plus 130. Again, I think you can play this multiple times. That's your same game parlay for the Pacers and the Bucks.
All right, I love it there. It's just, I mean, if you haven't by now figured out, we've got an issue here with Milwaukee. Not an issue that Doc Rivers is going to fix in any way, shape, or form. I mean, they did get a little bit better defensively, but I mean, quite honestly, I mean, the dude dropped 50 and 60 points in games against the Indiana Pacers, and they still sucked and couldn't win because they beat them. So how is that going to help? So it'll be interesting to see how they handle Giannis here moving forward. I know we had a couple more questions, Andy, before we get you out of here. One of them was regarding Beal and his role with Phoenix. Is it just too hard to figure out on any given night, Durant, Beal, Booker, who's going to go and who's going to do what here? Or do you think maybe it's really Booker's team and the other guys are picking up the slack? How do you approach that three-headed monster?
Well, it depends on what Minnesota is going to do, and Phoenix is going to react to it. It's going to be tough to figure out because I think Minnesota is going to try and make adjustments in game, and they're just going to go with the hot hand, Phoenix. And that's one of the problems with trying to bet on the big three of the Suns is you have 3 guys. I mean, obviously Booker and Durant are much more of the ones that could get going hot. But if Booker starts off hot, of course they're going to ride him. If Durant starts off hot, yeah, of course they're going to ride him. Beal, he could absolutely get going, and then they just ride him. And it just makes it really, really tough. I will not be betting on Beal or Durant or Booker because combined, yeah, all 3 of them are going to get theirs, but you never know game to game. What I would recommend, Nick, is if you are going to bet on that category for Beal, bet him every game. Don't just try and cherry pick one of them. If you bet him and he hits this first game, come back, and if he hits the second game, maybe you just take your profits and run. But just make sure you're consistent with it. Don't just try and pick one game.
If Conley is the guy that's got to deal with Beal, Beal's much bigger. He'll have a much easier time getting around Conley. He'll own Conley in that one. And I do think that for the most part, what they have shown with Beal is he will handle the ball. So assists could very well be, but I love the matchup of him versus Conley because he'll win that 90% of the time there because he's just that much bigger than he is. So we've got all sorts of no Greek. It's going to be murder. We tend to agree with you there. Jeff says, oil it up, baby. Love that as well. Big shout out once again. Oh, Clippers Mavs. Justin on Instagram. Quick question on that. Last I heard, the injections into the knee. I love that too, right? Look at it. The Bucks were trash. Very nice, man. Last I heard, Kawhi did take another round of injections. The problem is the knee continues to swell up. I don't know how. That's another one of those situations, Andy, where how in the world are you betting the Clippers with Kawhi Leonard at any point? You can't. Like, you can't. You can't at anything. And Harden, if you're thinking Harden's going to show up, and no, absolutely not. I do think Dallas has major advantages in that. But I will say this, if he was 100%, I'd have been all over the Clippers big time. Kawhi Leonard is a difference maker.
He's just
That's
never
the problem.
100%. Those days are just long gone. I'm giving you all my good stuff. I'll give you one in this series.
Go.
Dante Exum will make a 3. It's like minus 115. He's made one in 19 out of 30 games, 7 out of the last 10, and he's gone over in 2 out of 3 against the Clippers. This is another one. Take it for 4 games. It's probably going to hit in 3 of them. So Dante Exum will make a 3.
That is the kind of info we are looking for. Jay Zilla says, this is one freaky-ass chat. Pleasure to see you, Jay. Welcome to lunacy here, my man, where everyone checks in, but nobody checks out. Outstanding stuff. Andy, what do you got rolling for us here heading into this weekend? Thursday, by the way, and I hope, folks, you wrote that Thursday is Darts Day. So it would almost pay just to sign up for the, 10 days for the price of 7 right now? That's the way to roll here, Andy.
Yeah, you get 7 days, you get 3 free. We're up 72 units this year in 2024. We're having a great run. We are 18-4 in the last 7 days. Had a really nice winning night last night in the PFL, and Saturday, huge card. We've got NBA plays, we've got a lacrosse play, and we've even got a Formula One play for the Grand Prix. Ooh. That is at 3 a.m. Eastern time for us. So I will be up. I don't know. Do you consider that up late or up early? I guess it depends if you go to sleep.
That's a good point.
But, all those plays are included into one pack. It's just a Saturday pack. We've got NBA, I think, 4 plays in there. And we've got the lacrosse play, and we've got the Formula One play that is up. And I will tell you this, Joe, two lessons I learned last night. Don't ever bet against the Heat in a one game situation. Don't ever and whatever you do not get a free play in the PFL wrong. You will hear about it. I learned a valuable lesson. You can give them out, just don't miss it.
Just don't lose them.
Friday.
Gotcha. Don't lose them. I got you.
Friday night was
the
a
free
learning
one.
experience
free.
for me.
Not a problem.
Yes.
Not a problem. You know, the really sad part about Miami winning last night is now I can't retire the hat. Now I have to wear the damn hat for the rest of the week while the Miami Heat are playing the Boston Celtics.
I love the hat.
Just when I thought I would be... The hat has been nothing but a moneymaker. So now I can't get rid of it, Andy. Now I got to wear it again this week on the NBA Tip-Off Show. So there you go. Thanks, Miami. Appreciate that. Handling their business. Andy, best of luck with your plays here today. We appreciate it. Thanks to Bryan Power. Thank you to Carmine, Bianco. And guys, if you missed any of this here today, don't worry about it. Links are in the description. You can catch all of the best bets here across the board, and there are a lot of them here today, so I would certainly encourage you guys to check that out. A big shout out to Instagram, YouTube Shorts, Facebook, X, as well as the YouTube loonies there. We appreciate you guys. Bokum, Jay Ziller, we got Jeff, all you guys, S1 in the house, Deshaun, Big Daddy, FB Coach, you guys rock. Don't forget, hit that thumbs up if you could. We'd certainly appreciate it. But more importantly, hit that little bell, and every time we do one of these shows, you guys will know all about it. And if it's best bets you want for this weekend, it's best bets we have. Click on the video on your screen right now and get access to all of the big game information you need. Best of luck with all your plays this weekend, guys. We'll talk to you again soon.